Hey guys, welcome back. This is week 4 Project Life, and I'm using a bunch of digitals today. Are you a digital fan? I love digitals, but I use them totally non-digitally most of the time, so that's what I'm doing today. I have grabbed a bunch of digitals. I have got some from Studio Calico. I've got a few from Citrus Twist, and I also have a bunch of freebie printables from Tina at Life Love Paper over on her Patreon page. She does monthly freebies, so I've got a few of those and I have printed them out with no kind of rhyme or reason, and that's what I'm using today. Coincidentally, a lot of the printables I've printed are all kind of pink, yellow, and kind of peachy tones, which works really nicely to contrast with my predominantly blue heavy photos this week. That was just a total coincidence, but that's how it worked out, and it actually worked out to my advantage that I didn't have a whole bunch of kind of blue printables as well. It would have been very, very blue. So everything ends up being reasonably balanced, and I'm happy with that. So in the end, I've used the two 4x6 cards are from Studio Calico. The sort of red and pink polka dot is Life Love Paper, and the other 3x4 is another Studio Calico one too. So I've just gone ahead and run that card straight through my typewriter to add my journaling there. See, I told you, not really kind of digital person. The thing is that when I batch print my photos for Project Life, which I do, and this was part of, it means that I'm not always sure what kind of elements I'm going to be working with when I actually sit down to film these processes. So if I was more organized and planned it out a little bit better, I probably could have digitally added that journaling in. As it is, I just use these digitals exactly like pieces that would have come in a kit, and I'm altering them to suit myself. Now this 4x6 card from Tina, I really wanted to use it, but I just didn't have a space for it this week. So in the end, I've decided to kind of chop it up and use those little messy circles as embellishments rather than as one 4x6 card. I have trimmed out 3 days, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that these photos were taken on those days, but it actually makes zero difference to those memories or that stories or what day of the week it was. My project life is all pretty much the same. It's a whole lot of being at home, a whole lot of drinking coffee, a whole lot of Lily, a whole lot of working. So it really, really doesn't worry me whether I've got these exact days right. I probably could have gone back through my camera roll and checked. As it is, I'm not going to worry about it. What I am going to do though is stamp just a few little corresponding sentiments under each of those days of the week. I'm using the 4x6 currently stamp set from Citrus Twist, and I've stamped those just in some pink fresh detail black ink, and then I'm going to adhere those little circles down. Because of the way that they're designed, they really can only go at the bottom of the photos, so that's where I'm adhering them, hanging off the edge of each of the photos, and then I can trim those down. Now I've got a couple of smaller photos this week, and I want to just add a little bit of detail to them. So when I adhere them onto the 3x4 card, I'm going to add a little bit of washi tape at the top too. This is a black glitter washi tape, and I'll be honest, it's a really poor quality washi tape, so it doesn't stick that well. However, it does stick very well to my photo paper, so I'm not worried about gluing that down. It should be fine. I just wanted to add a little kind of spot of pink in there to make the stamping and all the other black details kind of tie together a little bit. Now, one thing I did forget is that Pink Fresh Detail Black ink, she does not stamp nicely on my photo paper. I did know that. I totally forgot though. I just grabbed it and stamped currently under my temperature there. And so I did end up trying to re-stamp that with my Memento Tuxedo Black. It's not perfect. I'm really not interested in reprinting photos for this. So it's close enough, good enough. I just stacked another tiny little sentiment underneath there. And you can kind of see it's a little bit blurry, but it's perfectly fine. I'm doing the same thing on this other 3x4 photo, except this time I remembered the ink. And I'm going to just stamp another one underneath there in the lighter pink ink. I did stamp a smaller pink sentiment on my 4x6 down the bottom there. I used the pink at that point because I wanted it to contrast with the black journaling that I had done. And so I've just repeated that to kind of tie it together. Now, when I had pulled out my cards, I really wanted to use this early bird card. This is a Studio Calico one, but it didn't really fit a photo on there. Well, certainly not the photos that I have printed, the size that I've printed them, but I really did want to use them. So I'm trying very hard to transfer this sort of scripty writing onto my photo. Now, again, if this was something that I had pre-planned, I could have used Photoshop and added that on there digitally before I printed the photo. But I didn't. So here's my attempt at transferring it on. What I did was use a drawing pin and I just poked holes through the word early, and then I laid that onto my photo and used my pen to kind of mark dots underneath. That sort of worked. It worked better in the end. I ended up just using the same pin and kind of pin marking little holes onto the photos, and then I'm using that card as a guide and just redrawing that on with a Jelly Roll pen. And to be fair, it actually worked better than I thought it was going to. Halfway through I was sort of like, oh, I don't think this is going to work. I really didn't want to have to reprint it, so I kind of persisted. Where I fell apart though was that actually filling in those letters, the line from the Jelly Roll pen was just far too thin, and kind of trying to scribble it thicker just didn't work. So sort of halfway through I remembered that I had a white Posca paint pen, and so I used that instead, and it worked much better. Then I went and dug through my stash and found a very old stamp set from Kelly Stamps, because I really wanted to stamp the word morning underneath that early. And I can't believe that's, out of all the stamps that I've got, that's the only stamp I could find that said morning. It wasn't nearly as big as I wanted it to be, but just gone ahead and used it, and then added a little puffy sticker. Well, it's actually quite a large puffy sticker from Citrus Twist, a little puffy heart that says this on it, and just added that above the top. Now the last thing I've got to do is work on my title card, and I decided I wasn't going to waste any of this printable here. So it says this week, this is that same card that I've chopped those circles out of, and I'm going to add that into the white space at the bottom of this other journal card. So the stripy card's from Citrus Twist. Because I, obviously printing at home, it's never going to be perfect 4x6. I've accepted that. Sometimes when I trim it, it's just not correct. And so that one was just slightly shorter than the Studio Calico card. And so I purposefully kind of chopped the end at an angle and then moved it off to the sides. There was a little bit more of a gap. It looks more like kind of a banner or a bit of sort of washi tape rather than a strip across the card, and that works nicely. So I'm not going to add the word week this week. I'm using that this week part instead. I stamped my date stamps on the line that's on that wee piece. And then I'm going to use this Madison Alpha from Citrus Twist just to spell out the week 4. I did have some alphas, some numeral alphas there that I could have stamped instead, but I kind of thought just a single 4 would look a little bit lonely on here. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a bolder kind of title. So I'm stamping out 4. Again, I'm using that detail ink. And that's it. That's this page done. I just love digitals for the ease and for the price of the shipping. I don't mind printing at home, even if it's not always perfect. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.